Chapter 4. Getting to know plants. Introduction to plants. Plants are living organisms belonging to the kingdom Plantae, characterized by their ability to photosynthesize. They play a crucial role in the Earth's ecosystems and provide numerous benefits to humans in the environment. Plants range from small, simple organisms like mosses and ferns to complex, flowering plants found in various habitats worldwide. They are essential for oxygen production, carbon dioxide absorption, soil stabilization, and the provision of food, medicine, and raw materials. Plants exhibit a remarkable diversity in form, size, and adaptation, making them vital components of our planet's biodiversity. Classification of plants. Vascular plants. These are plants that have specialized tissues for the transport of water, nutrients, and sugars. They can be further divided into two groups, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Gymnosperms. These plants produce seeds that are not enclosed within a fruit. They are typically characterized by their cones and include conifers like pine, spruce, fir, and cedar. Angiosperms. These plants produce flowers and have seeds enclosed within a fruit. They are the largest group of plants and include a wide range of trees, shrubs, grasses, and flowering plants. Non-vascular plants. These are plants that lack specialized vascular tissues for transportation and are typically small in size. They include bryophytes and algae. Bryophytes. These are small, non-vascular plants that lack true roots, stems, and leaves. They include mosses, liverworts, and hornworts, which usually grow in moist environments. Algae. Algae are photosynthetic organisms that can range from single-cell to multicellular forms. They can be found in various habitats, including freshwater, marine environments, and even on damp surfaces. Seedless vascular plants. Seedless vascular plants are a group of plants that have specialized vascular tissues for the transport of water, minerals, and nutrients but do not produce seeds as a means of reproduction. Instead, they reproduce through spores. They include ferns, horsetails, and club mosses. Ferns. Ferns are non-flowering vascular plants that reproduce through spores. They have feathery leaves called fronds and are commonly found in moist environments such as forests and tropical regions. Horsetails. Horsetails, also known as aquasetums, are primitive plants with jointed, hollow stems and small, scale-like leaves. They typically grow in damp areas. Club mosses. Club mosses, also known as lycopods, are ancient plants with small, needle-like leaves. They reproduce through spores and are often found in forested regions. Flowering plants. Angiosperms. Flowering plant, also known as an angiosperm, is a type of plant that produces flowers as part of its reproductive structure. Flowers contain the reproductive organs of the plant, including the male pollen-producing stamens and the female ovule-containing pistils. These plants have seeds that are enclosed within a fruit, which develops from the ovary of the flower after fertilization. They include herbaceous plants and woody plants. Herbaceous plants. These are non-woody plants with soft stems that usually complete their life cycle within 1 year, annuals, or persist for multiple years, perennials. They include many garden flowers, vegetables, and herbs. Woody plants. They can be further divided into two groups, trees and shrubs. Trees. Trees are tall, woody plants with a well-defined trunk and branches. They provide shade, habitat, and timber resources. Shrubs. Shrubs are shorter than trees and have multiple stems arising near the base. They can be deciduous or evergreen and are often used in landscaping. Herbs. Herbs are a category of plants that are known for their non-woody stems. They typically have soft, green stems that are not persistent above the ground during winter seasons. Herbs can be annuals, biennials, or perennials. They have a relatively short lifespan and usually complete their life cycle within a year. Examples of herbs include basil, mint, parsley, and lavender. Shrubs. Shrubs are woody plants that are smaller in size compared to trees. They have multiple stems arising from the base and generally have a shorter height. Shrubs can be deciduous, meaning they shed their leaves during certain seasons, or evergreen, meaning they retain their leaves year-round. They provide habitat, shelter, and aesthetic value in gardens and landscapes. Examples of shrubs include roses, azaleas, hibiscus, and lilacs. Trees. Trees are tall, woody plants with a well-defined trunk that supports branches and a canopy of leaves. They have a distinct height advantage over other plants and can range from small to massive sizes. Trees are typically long-lived and can persist for many years. They play a vital role in ecosystems, providing shade, oxygen, habitat for animals, and resources such as timber. Examples of trees include oak, maple, pine, palm, and apple trees. Creepers. Creepers, also known as trailing plants, are plants that have weak stems that grow horizontally along the ground or other surfaces. They lack the ability to support themselves vertically. Creepers usually have specialized structures like tendrils or root-like structures that help them attach to surfaces for support. They often spread over the ground and can form dense mats of vegetation. Examples of creepers include strawberries, watermelon vines, and certain types of ivy. Climbers. Climbers, also known as vines, are plants that have flexible stems that can grow vertically by clinging or twining around other objects or structures for support. They have specialized structures like tendrils, hooks, or adhesive roots that enable them to climb. Climbers can reach significant heights and often cover walls, fences, and trellises. Examples of climbers include grapes, morning glories, ivy, and passion flowers. Stem. The stem is an important part of a plant that serves several functions. It is a structural component that provides support, positioning leaves and flowers for optimal sunlight exposure. The stem also plays a crucial role in transporting water, minerals, and nutrients between the roots and the leaves or other parts of the plant. In most plants, the stem grows above the ground, connecting the roots to the leaves and other aerial parts. It consists of nodes, where leaves or branches emerge, and internodes, the spaces between the nodes. The stem may vary in size, shape, and texture depending on the plant species. The primary functions of the stem are support. The stem provides structural support to the plant, helping it maintain an upright position and withstand the forces of gravity, wind, and other environmental factors. Transport. The stem contains vascular tissues, such as xylem and phloem, which transport water, minerals, and sugars throughout the plant. Xylem conducts water and nutrients from the roots to the leaves, while phloem transports sugars produced during photosynthesis to various parts of the plant. Storage. Some plants have specialized stems that store water, nutrients, or food reserves. Examples include cacti storing water in their succulent stems or potatoes storing carbohydrates in their underground tubers. Vegetative reproduction. Certain plants can reproduce vegetatively through their stems. They can develop adventitious roots and form new plants when the stem comes into contact with the soil. Photosynthesis. In some plants, the stem may also carry out limited photosynthesis, especially in green stems, contributing to the plant's energy production. Leaf. A leaf is a flattened, typically green, lateral outgrowth that arises from the stem of a plant. It is one of the main organs of a plant and plays a crucial role in photosynthesis, gas exchange, and transpiration. Leaves are usually broad and thin, allowing them to maximize their surface area for efficient light absorption and carbon dioxide exchange. The primary functions of leaves include photosynthesis. Leaves contain specialized cells called chloroplasts that contain chlorophyll, a pigment essential for capturing sunlight. Through the process of photosynthesis, leaves convert light energy into chemical energy, synthesizing carbohydrates, such as glucose, and releasing oxygen. Gas exchange. Leaf surfaces are covered with small openings called stomata, which allow for the exchange of gases with the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide enters the leaf through the stomata, while oxygen and water vapor exit. This gas exchange is crucial for the plant's respiration and the release of excess water through transpiration. Transpiration. Transpiration is the loss of water vapor from the leaf surface. It occurs through the stomata and helps in the transport of water and nutrients from the roots to other parts of the plant. Transpiration also aids in cooling the plant and maintaining its shape and rigidity. Storage. Some leaves have specialized structures that store water, nutrients, or carbohydrates. Examples include succulent leaves in desert plants or bulbs in underground storage organs. Protection. In certain plants, leaves may have adaptations to deter herbivores or provide physical protection. This can include thorns, spines, or tough, leathery leaf surfaces. Types of leaves. Petiole. The petiole is a slender stalk that connects the leaf blade, lamina, to the stem of the plant. It provides support and allows for the transport of nutrients and water between the leaf and the rest of the plant. Laminar. The laminar, also known as the leaf blade, is the flat, expanded part of the leaf. It is typically green and contains chlorophyll, which is essential for photosynthesis. The laminar is the main site where sunlight is captured and converted into chemical energy. Veins. Veins are the vascular tissues within the leaf that transport water, nutrients, and sugars throughout the plant. They form a network of tubes that extend from the petiole and run through the laminar. Veins provide support to the leaf structure and also distribute water and nutrients to individual cells. Midrib. The midrib is the central vein or main vein that runs along the middle of the leaf blade. It is usually thicker and more prominent than the other veins. The midrib gives support to the leaf and helps in the transportation of substances between the petiole and the leaf. Leaf venation. Leaf venation refers to the arrangement and pattern of veins in the leaf. There are two main types of leaf venation. Reticulate venation. This type of venation is characterized by a network of veins that branch and interconnect, forming a complex pattern. Reticulate venation is commonly found in dicotyledonous plants, dicots. Parallel venation. In parallel venation, the veins run parallel to each other from the base to the tip of the leaf without forming an intricate network. Parallel venation is characteristic of monocotyledonous plants, monocots, such as grasses and lilies. Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants, algae, and some bacteria convert light energy from the sun into chemical energy in the form of glucose. It takes place in the chloroplasts, primarily in the cells of leaves. During photosynthesis, plants use carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to produce glucose and release oxygen as a byproduct. The equation for photosynthesis is: photosynthesis is essential for plants as it provides them with the energy they need for growth, development, and reproduction. The glucose produced through photosynthesis serves as a source of stored energy, which plants can use for various metabolic processes. Example. A common example of photosynthesis is the process that occurs in green plants. In the presence of sunlight, plants use their leaves to absorb carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil. Using the energy from sunlight, they convert these raw materials into glucose, which is then used for growth and energy production. Transpiration. Transpiration is the process by which plants lose water vapor through the tiny openings on the surface of their leaves, known as stomata. It is essentially the plant equivalent of evaporation. Transpiration occurs as a result of the plant's need to transport water and nutrients from the roots to the rest of the plant, as well as to regulate temperature and maintain structural integrity. During transpiration, water is pulled up from the roots to the leaves through the xylem vessels, driven by a combination of factors such as root pressure, capillary action, and most importantly, the process of evaporation from the leaf surface. As water molecules evaporate through the stomata, they create a pull or suction that draws more water up from the roots. Example. A practical example of transpiration is observed when water is absorbed by the roots of a plant and then transported upward through the stem and into the leaves. As the water molecules reach the leaf surface, they evaporate, creating a continuous upward flow of water through the plant. This process helps in the transport of nutrients and minerals and plays a crucial role in maintaining the plant's turgidity and supporting various physiological functions. Root. Roots are vital for the overall health, growth, and survival of plants. They facilitate nutrient absorption, water uptake, and structural support, ensuring the plant's proper functioning and ability to adapt to its environment. The root is an essential part of a plant's structure and performs several important functions. Functions of roots. 1. Anchorage and support. Roots anchor the plant firmly in the ground, providing stability and support. They help prevent the plant from being uprooted by wind or other forces. Strong and extensive root systems are particularly crucial for tall and large plants. 2. Absorption of water and nutrients. Roots absorb water and essential nutrients from the soil. They have root hairs and fine root tips that increase the surface area for efficient absorption. Water and dissolved minerals, such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, are taken up by the roots and transported to the rest of the plant for various metabolic processes. 3. Storage of nutrients. Some plants have specialized roots, such as tubers or taproots, that store nutrients and carbohydrates. These stored nutrients can be used during periods of low resource availability or for supporting growth during specific stages of the plant's life cycle. 4. Conducting water and nutrients. Roots contain specialized tissues, such as xylem and phloem, which are responsible for the transport of water, minerals, and sugars throughout the plant. The xylem vessels carry water and nutrients upward from the roots to the stems and leaves, while the phloem transports sugars and other organic compounds in both directions. 5. Interaction with soil microorganisms. Roots play a crucial role in establishing symbiotic relationships with beneficial soil microorganisms, such as mycorrhizal fungi. These beneficial associations enhance nutrient uptake, improve soil structure, and protect plants against pathogens and diseases. 6. Aeration. Some roots, known as aerial roots, grow above the ground or in waterlogged environments. These roots have specialized structures, such as air pores or pneumatophores, that enable the exchange of gases between the plant and the surrounding environment. This adaptation allows plants to survive in oxygen-deprived or waterlogged conditions. 7. Erosion control. In addition to anchoring the plant, roots also help prevent soil erosion. The extensive network of roots holds the soil particles together, reducing the risk of soil erosion caused by water or wind. Types of roots. 1. Taproot. Taproots are characterized by having a large, main root that grows vertically into the ground. They develop from the primary root of the plant and give rise to lateral or secondary roots. Examples of plants with taproots include carrots, radishes, and dandelions. 2. Fibrous root. Fibrous roots consist of a cluster of thin, thread-like roots that spread horizontally in the upper layers of the soil. They do not have a dominant main root. Grasses, wheat, and rice are examples of plants with fibrous roots. 3. Adventitious root. Adventitious roots are roots that develop from non-root tissues, such as stems, leaves, or even other roots. They may arise from various parts of the plant and serve functions such as support, absorption, or reproduction. Examples of plants with adventitious roots include ivy, corn, and some orchids. 4. Propagative or storage root. Some plants have specialized roots that store nutrients or serve as a means of vegetative propagation. For example, sweet potatoes and dahlias have tuberous roots that store carbohydrates, while onions and garlic have bulbs that store nutrients and allow for the formation of new plants. 5. Aerial roots. Aerial roots are roots that grow above the ground, often from the stem or branches of a plant. They can have different functions, such as support or obtaining moisture from the air. Examples of plants with aerial roots include orchids, banyan trees, and some epiphytic plants. 6. Contractile roots. Contractile roots are specialized roots that have the ability to contract or pull the plant deeper into the soil. They are commonly found in bulbs and corms, helping to anchor the plant and regulate its depth. Lily bulbs and gladiolus corms are examples of plants with contractile roots. Flower. A flower is the reproductive structure found in flowering plants, angiosperms. It is a modified shoot consisting of specialized parts that function in the sexual reproduction of the plant. Flowers are typically composed of 4 main parts: the sepals, petals, stamens, and pistils. 1. Sepals. The sepals are the outermost whorl of leaf-like structures that protect the developing flower bud. They are usually green in color, and collectively form the calyx. 2. Petals. The petals are the colorful and often fragrant structures that surround the reproductive organs. They are typically the most visually attractive part of the flower and serve to attract pollinators, such as insects or birds. Collectively, the petals form the corolla. 3. Stamens. The stamens are the male reproductive organs of the flower. Each stamen consists of a filament and another. The filament is a slender stalk that supports the anther, which contains pollen sacs. The pollen grains produced by the anther carry the plant's male gametes, sperm. 4. Pistils. The pistil, also known as the carpel, is the female reproductive organ of the flower. It consists of three main parts: the stigma, style, and ovary. A. Stigma. The stigma is the receptive surface that receives pollen grains. B. Style. The style is a slender tube that connects the stigma to the ovary. C. Ovary. The ovary contains one or more ovules, which house the plant's female gametes, eggs. Pollination. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the male reproductive organ, stamen, to the female reproductive organ, pistil, of a flower. It is a crucial step in the sexual reproduction of flowering plants. Pollination can occur through various mechanisms, including wind, water, or by the action of pollinators such as insects, birds, bats, or other animals. There are two main types of pollination. 1. Wind pollination. In wind-pollinated plants, pollen grains are light, small, and often produced in large quantities. These plants typically have inconspicuous flowers without bright colors or strong fragrances. The pollen is released into the air and carried by the wind to reach other flowers of the same species for fertilization. Examples of wind-pollinated plants include grasses, corn, and many trees like pine and oak. 2. Animal pollination. Animal-pollinated plants have evolved to attract specific pollinators, such as insects or birds. They often have showy flowers with bright colors, strong scents, or nectar to entice the pollinators. Pollen grains may be sticky or have structures that easily attach to the bodies of the visiting animals. When the animal moves from flower to flower, the pollen is transferred, allowing for cross-pollination and fertilization. Examples of animal-pollinated plants include roses, orchids, and hummingbird-pollinated flowers. Fertilization. Fertilization is the process in which the male and female reproductive cells, or gametes, unite to form a zygote, initiating the development of an embryo. In flowering plants, fertilization occurs following successful pollination. When a pollen grain reaches the stigma of a flower, it germinates and produces a pollen tube. The pollen tube grows through the style and reaches the ovary, where the ovules are located. Within the ovule, the male gametes, sperm cells, are released from the pollen tube and fertilize the egg cells inside the ovule. This fusion of the male and female gametes leads to the formation of a zygote. The fertilized ovule develops into a seed, containing the embryo and a food source for its initial growth. The ovary surrounding the fertilized ovule enlarges and matures into a fruit, which helps protect the seed and aids in its dispersal. When the fruit ripens, it can be dispersed by various means, such as wind, animals, or water, allowing the seeds to be dispersed to new locations for germination and the growth of new plants. Fertilization ensures genetic diversity by combining genetic material from two parent plants, promoting adaptation and variation within plant populations. It is a vital process for the successful reproduction and survival of flowering plants.